Welcome back. In this lecture we're going to set up a special function that will capture players' data when they leave the game, which is the most useful thing to us. When people leave or they get cut off, etc., then we save their data, and then when they log back in they're still up to the same point they were at. However, before we do that, I encountered a problem which we're going to solve right now, in that if we save the player data and then we come down here and we load the player data in, say the player has 2 logs, all right? At the moment, our fireplace where we're placing the logs wouldn't change because remember we have it set up to only show when they touch the fireplace. All right, so when we load the data in, we want to trigger that in here, and we're going to do it here, okay, because we will know by this stage whether what the player's log count is. So the first thing we need to do is get all the logs from the workspace. So we'll create a local variable just to use here, all logs, and then you'll need to type in the game path to your log model. So in my, it's game, and then we're going to workspace, then we're after the fire pit model, that's the one where it's held, then in the log model, all right, then what we want to do is we want to get all of the logs that are inside of our log model. So we do that with get children, all right, empty at the end, and that will return us a table of logs in here in which to work with. So just below this we're going to put in a loop that will go through each one of these, and depending on what this value is up here we'll change its transparency. So type in here for I equals 1, because we want to start at the first one, player log count dot value, then a comma, and we want to count up by 1, do, and that's our loop. So we're looping through each or however many times this is up here, okay? So if it's 0, this won't run, but if it's got 1, then it'll loop through here, and then what we want to do is we want to make a decision about what to do with each log. So inside here we'll say if all logs, okay, and whatever the I number is, dot name, so we're after the name of the log, and for this to work correctly, in case, let's just have a quick look, not log spawn, we want our, where is it, there it is, our fire pit model. See, I've got mine named log 1, 2 and 3, so make sure yours are the same for this particular code to work. So we're looking for the name, so which will be log 1, etc. Okay, and we'll say equals, then we're going to type in the word log, because that's the common part of this, and the bit that's going to change will be I. So what we do is we concatenate or make a string like this, okay, that will be like log 0, log 1, log, etc. Okay, so then, so if this is true, so we find one, then we want to say, well, in that particular instance we want that log, and we want to change its transparency, and we want to set it to 0, which will make it show. Okay, so remember, transparency 1 is completely invisible, 0 is completely showing, and that is all we need to have in there. And the last thing we'll do is we'll just take this down to the end here, so this all runs before our code finishes, and that will show up our log parts. Now we'll move on now down to setting up our when the player leaves. So right down the bottom of our main script, so if you scroll down here, we added some code, where is it, here it is, where we are changing the log count. Alright, so what we want to do is when this is changed, so that this is happening down here, we want to put our code for when the player leaves here. So between these two brackets. So be careful where you put it. Don't put it inside or inside this other one. It needs to be in here. Okay. So we'll create a comment here. Save data when the player leaves the game. All right. So that's what this section is all about. We're going to create a function here. So the function we are creating is game.onClose. So this will equals, okay, and we'll create a function end. Okay, so this is just a normal function with no bracket around the outside, but it will run this function in here. So basically when the game closes and tries to shut down, this is the last thing that will run, and that's where we want to put in all of our code to save our player data. Alright, so first thing we want to do is create a variable save data. So this is what we are saving, equals, and we'll create a table again because we want to save it as a table, and this is a little bit different to what we had above, but we want to grab this time whatever the value is in log count and make it equal to whatever player log count dot value is. All right, we want to do that for each item. So put in here stone, okay, equals player stone dot value, and put in here flint equals player flint dot value. Alright, so that this will be the data that we want to save. So now right below this, it's very similar to earlier. We're going to put in a local success error equals, and we're going to put a pcall function in again. So remember, type pcall and then inside type function. Just move one to the right and hit enter. That way we're working inside of our function. We're going to get player data. Alright, and this time instead of get, we're going to set, like we did above. Just when we set up, it is this part's very almost identical. Player dot user ID, and this time we want to put this table, so whatever this is worth, into our data stores. Okay, and below that we'll check for success here. So if success, then we'll put print, and we'll say data for, and we'll use the player name here, player dot name was saved. Okay, that will let us know that when they left the game that it was saved. And below that we'll have another print statement to deal with any errors. So save data on exit failed, just to let us know what is going on. Right, now that should cover just about everything. So this is the time where we can save it and publish it. And now let's run the game and see what happens. Okay, so we're running our game to see what happens here, and we've got player data loaded. Now I'd already run a test there, sorry, I'd paused, etc. So I'll stop this, and you can do the same thing with yours if you like. Up the top here, I've done a couple of tests. I've increased my version number here, so I'm just going to do that once again. So we start with a clean database, and we'll save that and we'll publish it, and then we will test the game again. It can be a bit touchy, databases, when you're first setting them up and doing this testing, so it's good to increase that version number so you don't get confused and start changing code. You don't need to. So as we can see, new database, new player data set up, and we can then play the game. So I've picked up a log, it's changed up here. Okay, it's on the fire pit. We'll pick up a second one and put it there, just happened to spawn in the same spot. And we'll pick up a third one, and let's just call it that's where the player's going to leave the game. Okay, so let's click on stop, and down the bottom here we should see in your output that you get a message to say that your player's data has been saved. So we've got all this other stuff, and then data for Belvemar was saved. So it's saying to me the data has indeed saved to the game. So to test it again, let's just play again without doing anything else, and see if we get what we should have. We should have 3 logs showing up the top and in our fire pit. Hopefully that's what happens. Alright, let's check it out. Alright, give it a second. It might be just slow at loading. We haven't got any messages down here just yet, so it may still, sorry, my internet seems to have slowed down there momentarily, and I haven't got any messages, which is a bit odd. Okay, let's try this again. So I'm going to stop it. Okay, and like I said, sometimes if the internet, for example, has slowed down or etc., your save doesn't work, which we're going to come back to. However, let's play it again, and without doing anything else, and we'll see if that is indeed what happened there. Okay, because I didn't get any messages, which is a little bit odd. It is running very slowly just at the moment, and oh yes, yep, no, it has worked. My apologies everyone, I'm not sure, my computer's running hard here at the moment. However, it is working. So it's saying player data loaded, and here is our logs. We've got our log count up to 3, and we can't pick up another log. It's telling us the correct thing over here on our sign to collect our flint and our stone. So we'll do that just to make sure that we can actually finish the game. So we'll come back over here and start the fire, and it's still being a bit slow. I think it should work. Alright, might be a couple of little glitches there. However, the important thing at the moment, guys, is that our data is saving, alright, regardless of my computer issues, and hopefully that is what you are getting to happen on your computer as well. Alright, I shall see you in the next video. That concludes our saving at the moment. However, I will be releasing more videos on how to improve our game, make it more interesting, and do a little bit more advanced code to get it to run smoother, etc. So I look forward to seeing you in those videos.